What's up, everybody? This is Franklyn McInnis, and I'm here with a good friend of mine.
Hello, I'm Robert Kinzel.
Yeah, and he's a fellow YouTuber. Definitely do make sure you check out his channel. Of course, I am going to link it down below. And we've had discussions before, but I feel like only maybe one of them actually made it on the channel because of technical issues previously. So hopefully everything goes well this time here. But yeah, we're together here to talk about Demon Slayer, and I've mentioned it previously on the channel. If you check out Funko News, you probably have heard me mention anime recently, just because it's been on my mind. And for a while, I was staying away from anime, and I talked on the channel previously about how we all know that with different fan bases, you have a certain amount of that fandom that's going to be toxic, and that kind of kept me away from anime because there's definitely some people that are like. They try to be gatekeepers when it comes to anime, and so that kept me away. You've run into that some yourself, right?
Oh God, yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The people that are super critical if you don't pronounce the names perfectly, that type of thing. So I kind of let that keep me away from anime for a while, but I finally decided because I've seen so many people talking about different series that I decided to give Demon Slayer a try because that's one of the more popular ones that I see mentioned on my channel, and I'm definitely go ahead and check it out. I'll just say that up front. I'm definitely a fan of it. Of course, that's part of the reason why we are doing this video. Like, how long ago did you get into the series?
So, I probably started watching it. I think it was last year, right around when COVID started, and then I read throughout the manga, so I'm caught up completely up to date with the manga. The actual last English chapter will be releasing, I think, in either August or October, but the series has been done for a while at this point.
Haven't you noticed, like, hasn't a lot more anime fans? Like,
oh, God, yes.
Yeah. People just have so much time, like, have had so much time to binge things, so, yeah. And again, you know what, I've seen people, like, some anime fans critical of that, now everybody likes anime. It's like, who cares? Like, that's a good thing. Like, you should really want more people in your fandom because it supports what you're into. And, like I said, I'm glad that I hopped aboard and checked out Demon Slayer. And, I want to go ahead and jump right into talking about, let's talk about the overall story at first. Like, what are your feelings about the overall story of Demon Slayer?
Okay. So overall, I absolutely love it. We're going to just probably talk about the anime itself because that's what the most people know.
Yeah.
As of right now, in the anime, it did start off, I don't even think it started off slow. The first episode, if you guys haven't watched first episode, Tanjiro sweetly dies. So it doesn't start off slow like a lot of other animes that I got into, for example, like My Hero, where it takes like 4 or 5 episodes to get into it. Demon Slayer moves really fast, and it's so beautifully animated. And as of right now, where it's up to in the manga, the anime, I think it's been fantastically.
Yeah, I'll give it credit for that. Like, it's not slow. Like, it really does jump right into things. And, to the point, though, where I almost felt like, okay, well, I kind of wish I learned more about the family, but you do eventually, though, especially with the movie, which we will get to. So, so I think they actually made the right move by the action of everything and then making sure that they came back, though, to give you more backstory and more depth with the family. So I did appreciate that. I, of course, want to talk about the main character, Tanjiro, which I like him. I really like him as a lead character. One issue I have sometimes with anime like lead characters is like they can be super emo, like super emotional. I've talked before about like with Deku. Deku is always crying, at least early in the series. Like I didn't stick with My Hero Academia long term. And that's really nothing against the series. It's just because it's so annoying to try to binge watch it on Hulu, which is the only place that I'd been watching it. And I may come back to My Hero Academia, but there are other anime characters that are like that. But I feel like with Tanjiro, like when he gets emotional, it makes sense, And
yeah.
And also what I like about him, at one point in the series, he said, when I start something, I follow through with it. And I was like, he's right. Like, it wasn't being boastful. It was just him being honest. I think he is a humble character, but he really does put in the time with his training and everything, and he really does work hard. So I really like him as a main character.
Definitely, he's one of the better shonen main characters. With So a lot of the most shonens, they follow younger boys, teenage boys who go through adulthood. That's essentially the premise of shonen, because that's the market. They market young boys and adolescents who buy comic books. So Tanjiro is definitely a lot better than, we'll say, Deku at the beginning. Deku, it takes quite a few seasons for him to stop crying. Tanjiro, he cries because guess what? His family kind of just died, and it's pretty recent.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
fresh. Yeah.
he goes through a lot. He's still 15 years old. If I think it's 15 years old or 16 during the anime. He's still young, very young, and how much he has to actually go through, the amount of death and despair he has to see, it should take a toll on him, which it does. But he is such a good-hearted, kind person, and his morale and his mindset is very, very good, in my opinion. It's probably one of the better, more. It's a lot of people. I think it might be a little bit unattainable for a lot of people to be in this mindset in the real world, but he's very optimistic about the future for his sister Nezuko. He believes that he can be able to help her, and that's his main goal. His goal isn't for him to become the strongest person alive, which a lot of people would have that for their goal in shonen, where they just want to become the strongest. He's only doing and pursuing these actions just to go and protect and save his sister.
Yeah, and it does make him a lot more relatable because it feels more concrete. Like I don't want to get off track, but I will say this: like I'm also watching Hunter x Hunter, and I've watched the first three seasons. I haven't started the fourth just yet, but I will say with Hunter x Hunter, sometimes it feels like you don't know exactly where they're headed. I mean, of course, he does want to see his father, but they veer off course quite a bit sometimes, you know. So yeah, with Tanjiro though, yeah, it does feel more like a concrete goal that is always there, basically. And I do want to talk about the art style real quick. You kind of touched on it briefly, but the art style is absolutely gorgeous. Like I love the thick lines that they have around the characters. It's almost like a combination between anime and like a coloring book in a way because
Yes.
with those thick lines. And I really like that look. And especially when Tanjiro is using his different techniques that he has, it's like a painting coming to life. You know, it's amazing. I really do like those moments.
They look so gorgeous, and that's what really made the anime for a lot of people. Just the animation, because they do have CG backgrounds, but they blend it together so well with their breathing techniques and their fighting styles.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to talk about the animation some more as we move along here because it does change up with certain characters and certain elements and in the movie as well. So I'm definitely going to talk about that some
Mm-hmm.
more. Now, I know you're a big fan of Nezuko. As a matter of fact, you got to share the image with me that you shared previously. I'm going to put that into this video because I want people to see your Nezuko collection because it is pretty amazing. Just go ahead and tell me your thoughts on that particular character.
I adore her. So when I first got introduced to Demon Slayer, it's kind of the same way I got introduced to My Hero Academia, where I see an image of a character and I'm interested in the design. And Nezuko was just really cute. She's adorable. So seeing her run through the forest, being chased down, turn into a little kid, that's what caused me to kind of want to go check out the series because I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny. And she's just a gorgeous, adorable. I think it's mostly just she's cute and she's adorable, and that's why I'm
In the
addicted to the
kicks,
character.
in the kicks as
she
well.
can, she very very strong,
Yeah.
extremely powerful, and further along inside the manga itself, she develops because as of right now in the anime, she's kind of, I would like to say maybe she's not like a dog, but she's kind of like, here's the demon pet where everybody loves her and everybody's here to protect her. But soon she'll be able to actually communicate and we can actually learn more about her mindset. But as of right now in the anime, she's kind of just a cute little sidekick who she's there to be protected, but she doesn't necessarily need protection. The only time she needs to really be protected is when she's KO'd just because of her own, I guess that would be mental fortitude where she will not give into the urges of eating humans. Because I don't think we've mentioned. Did I say this? That she's a demon?
Yeah. And that's why, like, when I was first seeing images of her, I didn't know why her mouth was bound. You know, I had to watch the series to learn what was going on there. So yeah, she actually has been turned into a demon. And I like it. I think it's clever the way that her way of basically rejuvenating herself is resting, basically. I'm correct on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she sleeps, and that's the way that she re-energizes herself, so that she's not feeding on humans. So I thought that was like clever that they worked that in. I will be honest though, when I first started watching the series, I was a little bit concerned just because there's a term called fridging where
Yep.
basically you know, if a writer just doesn't feel confident with writing a female character, they'll find some way to basically sideline her. Like a good example of that really upset a lot of people, and I was annoyed by it too. Like if you think about Deadpool 2, the movie, his woman, you know, his girlfriend, I can't remember if they were actually married or not, if they ever got married, but you know, his woman basically they sidelined her. They had her killed, but then brought her back at the very end. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they just pushed her to the side because they didn't know how to work her into it. So I was a little bit worried that that's what they were doing with Nezuko by, you know, working it into the story where her mouth would be bound and she's in the box a lot, like she's literally boxed up. But you know, as the series is going on, I've seen that they actually do have some pretty interesting female characters that are well written. So yeah, I'm okay more so with Nezuko now, the way that she is handled in the story.
Yeah.
And also, like we said, she's not defenseless. You know, she can handle herself. And also, I think she's. Let's be clear about this. I think she's cute in the proper way. We know with anime. Come on, we know with anime it can get a little bit creepy, but I feel like she's cute in the proper way. I don't think she's sexualized within the series. You will see some statues and some figures where she's sexualized in some artwork maybe, but as far as the actual series, I think she's handled in a proper way.
Correct. Yeah, I probably should have clarified that, and that's where I was like, she's like a puppy, where you don't sexualize your puppies.
Yeah.
So that's what I was meaning. Like she's just adorable to have around, and it's another thing with their animation and the way they designed the characters. When, for example, the demon with the Doctor Demon, where he says that vile thing, and he's talking about Nezuko, and then all of a sudden they have an image of Tanjiro perfectly normal, and then Nezuko, her eyes are all swirly and nuts looking. I think the comedy in this show is amazing with their art, because they use their art fantastically for the comedy.
Now, I will say though, let me jump in here because with the art style, I like it most of the time, but when you have Zenitsu freaking out, which happens a lot, they tend to change up the art style where the characters are more of a chibi look, like that sort of cutesy look, and I'm not a fan of that. Like they sort of simplify the characters at time, and like I said, they make them cutesy, and I'm not a fan of that. And Zenitsu in general, like if I was going to bail from the series, he would probably be the reason why. Like dude just freaks out way too much and yells way too much, and it's a bit much to deal with that character.
I understand that, and I think maybe we should move on to talking about him now. He is probably, I guess I would say my least favorite character in the main series of the main cast, and it's specifically because of the whole screaming and yelling and crying. It's one of those shonen archetypes, stereotypes of, oh, this is a whiny crybaby kid, which thank God he's not the main protagonist. He reminds me of like how Deku was crying and he was a baby during the first season, I would say. That he reminds me a lot of that, except for the fact that Deku doesn't need to be KO'd and completely asleep to become a badass.
Yeah, so, and I think it's interesting how he has to basically be asleep, like in a sort of sleepwalking type of vibe or whatever, for him to actually use his abilities, like, you know. But so I think that aspect of him is interesting, but yeah, he's just, dude has no chill, like, and maybe it's just me, but he does come across kind of like a perv too.
Oh, he's a big perv.
Yeah, like the way he freaked out when he first saw Nezuko, and he's like, why didn't you tell me you had such a cute girl with you? And it's like, and I'm like, okay, let's think about age here for a moment, like, because I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a age difference there, and it's just like, yeah, he definitely feels like a perv.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nezuko is 14, and I think he's around 16. I think that's the age range for the main
Okay,
characters. Yeah. So
well, yeah,
it's
that's
not,
not too bad. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
it's not the worst, but the thing is, when we first see him, this is Demon Slayer itself is taking back way back. It's not current present time. It's not 2021. This is like I think 16 to 1700s, if that, because that's their time span. So when we first see him outside of uh, when they finish the final selection arc, when we see him and he gets to interact with Tanjiro, he has to pull him away from this girl that he's trying to convince to marry him because he thinks that he's going to die because all these missions he's getting sent on.
yeah,
So it's the fact that he got. I think the reason why he's like this is specifically because he is a very doom and gloom character. He doesn't understand that he is powerful enough to fight these demons. He's under the impression that every second is going to be his last second, so he doesn't want to die without a wife. But there are ways that you need to be going about this. You need to handle yourself better, Zenitsu.
yeah. And you know what though? It's funny because that initial moment with him, with him worrying about dying and not having a wife, that actually is like legit because I was in the military and that's something you actually see when you're in the military. Like there are guys that like rush and get married because they feel like they got to have a marriage going on. Or whatever. I don't know. Some guys might feel like it's armor or something for them. Like they're maybe that's something to come home to and is going to
Yeah,
help protect them in a way maybe, or they're just gonna they even if they feel like they might die, they want somebody that they know is going to mourn for them or something. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, that is actually true to life in a way. Inosuke, and how do you pronounce his name? Inosuke, is it
Inosuke.
Inosuke? Okay, he freaks out as well, but I can deal with him more so because the more you really pay attention to the character, he's not a dummy. I mean, sometimes he comes across like that a little
Yeah,
bit, but his ego is actually very helpful for them. If you think about them as a team, he like sometimes like we learned from the movie, and I don't want to jump ahead too much, but we learned from the movie that in his mind he kind of pictures himself as the leader, but
yeah,
but that actually helps him to help out the team though, because he's that leader type that's going to rush forward. He's not just sitting back waiting for everybody else to do everything, even though there's a little bit of that to him in a joking way. But
yeah.
no, he's willing to fight, like, and he's willing to do what it takes, to help people out. So I actually like his character. The more I think about his character, I do like him, and I'm really curious to learn more about his background.
He is very complex. He is a very complex character. So I think it's made obvious in this that he was raised in the wild. He's a wild person, raised by boars. Hence, he has the boar mask. Uh, the dude is nuts,
Hmm.
which is very apparent. He has an amazing fighting spirit too. He's always ready for a fight, no matter how unprepared he is for it, as we see in the Spider Demon arc, where he goes against the Father Demon and gets utterly destroyed. I will say utterly destroyed is probably the most accurate term for that.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Gyu comes in there and decapitates the Spider Demon and releases him, Inosuke's like, all right, cool. You defeated this guy who's much stronger than I am. Let me defeat you to prove that I was stronger than him in the first place.
Yeah, and I like, I mean, like I said, there's some ego there, but you get those moments too where he's real with himself. I think he realizes that he does need more training. And again, I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I mean that's where the movie kind of wraps up to an extent, like them recognizing that they need to get more serious about their training, which is important for these characters. So
Yes.
yeah, I like that his ego does get put in check sometimes, and he even acknowledges that. I thought it was funny though too that when they first saw his face, they're like, "Wait a minute, you're cute," and he's like just totally oblivious to it. Like it's like he had no idea what they were talking about. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Like, you got a face of a woman. He's like, what are you saying to me?
Yeah, and I like too that when the mask is off, like his attitude, his voice, they do not change. Like he's that
Yeah,
same dude.
it's so, and it contrasts his normal appearance because that boar mask, it is crazy looking, and it can legitimately go from being the most intimidating thing to a fight to one of the most comedic looking things in like normal conversation. I I love their character design for him. And then talking more about his ego, I think sometimes with characters, a big ego usually causes people to not be attracted to that character. Not like, uh, like I'm physically attracted, but more like how people do not like Bakugo from My Hero Academia because he has an unchecked ego.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the ego works for him in a way because, as you said, he understands sometimes that he knows his place once he loses a fight, but he wants to get better. He's good at that. So I think that his ego works in a really good way for him.
Yeah, and yeah, so I mean that's the core of the show, those particular characters. And you and I talked about this privately, how with anime, boy, they can dump a lot of characters on you out of nowhere.
Yep,
And with the Hashira, that's the name of the group, right?
correct.
The Demon Slayers. Yeah, when they introduced I mean, they did initially just introduce I think two of them, basically, because they kind of came in to rescue them from those spider demons, you might as well say. But yeah, when they introduced all the rest of the Hashira, I was like, this is a lot of characters very quickly. And me personally at this point, I feel like the only one we really got to know more about is the one that ended up in the movie, because he was given more screen time basically. But with the rest of them, I feel like I just need more time with those characters to really learn them, even though some of them definitely do have some cool aspects about them.
Yes. So the one inside the movie is Rengoku, which we'll talk about him a lot more once we actually get into the movie.
Yeah.
The two Hashiras outside of him, the two Hashiras actually in the anime that we get to learn even anything about is Shinobu and Giyu, which even though we don't know all too much about them, but even then we can kind of see they are in a different class than our main characters, easily in a different class.
Yeah,
Uh,
Shinobu to me is, I think her way of thinking is somewhat simple, but there's like a purity to it at the same time. It's like you can't really knock it because in her mind is simple. See a demon, kill it.
mhm.
I think that's kind of her attitude.
Oh yeah, she is mean. She is
Yeah,
really mean, but
yeah, she's no joke.
she's probably, I would say, right under Nezuko, my favorite character, and that's more spoilers into the manga, but I do like the fact that she's taking after her sister's goals after her sister did die to a demon, which was shown off in the anime, which when they explained her backstory, and she's smiling all the time. She's trying to take on these traits, trying to eventually one day become friends with demons, which is what her sister's main goal was, even though she is still resentful of demons just because of the fact that they killed her. Tanjiro can smell it on her that she's angry and upset even throughout the smiles that she's putting on her facade. So,
Yeah, what
yep,
was the name of the guy that helped save them from the spider demons?
the Hashira,
Yeah.
Giyu.
Okay, yeah, and yeah, I kind of like how he and Shinobu kind of bumped heads, over the situation. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, you have no friends. I'm sorry nobody's told you had no friends." And once again, makes a comedic moment once you put it in the art style. Their faces just going, their eyes going completely white once he's like, "I have friends." And then Demon Slayer is super funny to me. I love this. I so love this series because of the comedy.
Yeah, I think the comedy does it does work sometimes, and like I do actually look forward to learning more about the Hashira, some of those characters, like what's the guy that has the really stilted way of speaking?
Uh,
Do you know his
is
name?
it the blind one that we're talking about?
No, no, the blind one's the leader, right?
Well, you have two blind ones.
Oh,
You got the one who's always he's crying, but his eyes are completely white. I think his
the,
name's Gome, if I'm
the
not.
one that the one he seems like very distracted at times.
That's the Wind Hashira. Oh, what's his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
But I just like, that he said you definitely get some feel for their personalities, even with the way they speak and everything, and like the feedback that they gave on Nezuko, how they felt about her and everything. So, I mean, you get a little bit of an idea of what these characters are about. But like I said, I do look forward to learning more about them. I definitely hope we do learn more about them in the next season.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Demon Slayer should probably last 3-4 seasons max, with how much source material they've already gone through, and it depends on if they do another movie, which is an adaptation of an arc. So I just want to talk about this for 1 second. With a lot of anime movies, for example, the My Hero movies, the original Dragon Ball Z movies, you can watch the movies, you know who the characters are, you got to watch the anime to know who they are, but nothing inside those stories relates to the plot itself. Demon Slayer does it completely different, where the end of season 1 is exactly where the movie picks up, and it follows through the manga through the Infinity Train arc, the Mugen Train arc.
Yeah,
And
I will say, as I was watching the movie, I was like, man, I was like, if you have not seen the anime, this movie is like, screw you then. Like,
exactly.
like, like, I'm so glad, like, I didn't just watch the movie by itself. Like, yeah, you really have to know season one.
The guy who's aloof, his name is Marucci. It's Mauricio, I think. I can't remember how it's pronounced,
Yeah, and
but he's the Wind Hashira.
I thought about him again because I think
His
there's a point in the movie when I think somebody was like imitating him for a moment or asking about him basically. But I definitely want to talk about before we get into the movie. What do you feel about the villains overall in season one?
So I like the Tamari Ball girl. I think her design's really cool. The female with 6 arms who
Okay,
throw the
yeah,
balls with the arrow demon. I
yeah,
didn't care for the
yeah.
arrow demon,
I
but
like her.
I think the fight between her and Nezuko kicking the soccer, it was like a soccer ball match, and I
Yeah,
played soccer and I thought that was pretty cool. And I think her design's really cool. Uh, Muzan, we're going to learn a lot more about him. As of right now, he
that's the
seems intimidating.
smooth criminal.
That's our smooth criminal, Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
Yes. He's our main villain. Which, seeing him, Tanjiro actually running into him extremely early on is crazy. Like, usually we save him up for the last. We don't see them until the very end, but no, we actually get to see him like right after his first mission, and I think that's pretty insane for like an anime. But
the thing is though, it's kind of like I would compare that to well, I mean, in Hunter x Hunter, of course, you see was I'm trying to remember the name of the guy with the pink hair.
Hisoka.
Yeah, Hisoka. Like, these names, I can mix them up easily. You realize as the series goes on just how much Gon was not prepared to deal with him early on.
Oh
You
God,
know,
no.
yeah, and I think it's kind of the same thing with Demon Slayer. Like, you realize, Tanjiro, you are not ready. You are not nearly ready.
He is so many leagues below him.
Yeah,
But seeing his aftermath after he turns one dude into a demon, and then he goes off to kill off 3 people who drunkenly ran into him.
yeah.
He's very intimidating. You can tell
Hmm.
that, and you can tell he's in a class above even the people that they struggle fighting with. Rui, the spider demon, which is he's probably the main villain that we get to learn the most about through the anime itself.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was surprised by that, how long the battle went on with the spider demons. Like, I just it kind of caught me off guard. Like, I didn't expect that. It was like at least what, like 3 episodes or so.
3 or 4 episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I know that's when the hype of Demon Slayer actually picked up, was after episode 19, which was the fight against Tanjiro versus Rui the Spider Demon. But Muzan we'll learn a lot more about. As of right now, you can tell, oh crap, he is intimidating and he's stronger than these other undermoons that he killed off, except for one at the very end who wanted to die. But we can tell he's extremely strong. I do like the drum demon as well. I think that one was a really cool concept when they were inside the house and
Yeah, and it was turning. Yeah, that was kind of dope. Yeah.
I like him, and I do like the fact that with Tanjiro himself, we get to, because how sympathetic he is, and he tries to kill these people as easily and as quickly as possible to not cause them any pain, and he's respectful, and he didn't step on this guy's I think he was writing. Yeah, he didn't step on his writings, which was really, it meant a lot to the drum demon. So I think you get to know their backstory a little bit, and it's a joke in the community where Tanjiro's fighting a demon. The demon's like, "Oh, here's my super sad backstory." He's like, "Oh, that's sad," and then slices their heads off anyway. But I do like that we get to learn about them. But the spider demon family itself is where the main villains, and where we get to see, I think that's the first boss battle of the series, where he went through a lot of hard fights. He had to fight the hand demon who killed off all of the other members of his teacher, his peers they would have been. But the fight against Rui and the spider demons, which we don't really get to learn too much about the family members' backstories other than the sister, where we get to see, hey, she got brought in because she was being hunted down by demon slayers, and then she was forced into this family. But we get to see Rui's backstory, and that was really nice to let us understand, okay, these demons aren't always bad. They weren't bad beforehand, but once you become a demon, you lose your humanity. Rui wanted to get a family because he doesn't really remember exactly what family was, and he ends up forcing people, enslaving people into being and fitting into these roles.
Yeah, and it's kind of deep when you think about it, because I think that's a conflict that some people in real life run into, where like they want people around them, but if they can't really control them, they don't know how to deal with that. It's a very realistic conflict that he's dealing with.
Exactly. And him being able to see the bond between Tanjiro and Nezuko, and it inspires him he's like, oh, if I steal Nezuko from him, she'll be as protective of me as she is of him, and I'll have a real bond. Him still not understanding, you can't force people into filling in that role. It happens naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he does end up dying, he gets to actually meet up with his family in the afterlife, where he's going to end up going to hell because of all of his stuff, but his family is going to go to hell with him. And they originally wanted to kill him when he was a demon, because he was a demon, he was killing people, but they were going to sacrifice themselves too to be with him, because they truly were his family, and he just didn't understand that until he was 10 seconds away from death.
Yeah, and you know what? Like that's one of the great things about the series, is that the deaths are not rushed, and really, they actually, even down to the last second of some of these villains dying, you learn more about them, and you see some of the humanity come back as well. And that's where a lot of movies, not just with anime, just a lot of movies and shows in general, get things wrong, is that they just kill characters in a second, and it's like done, and it's not even thought about anymore, the deaths. So I actually like that they take that moment to make the deaths really matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say before we get to the series, the movie, I should say, you talked about the comedy within the series, and I got to tell you my favorite comedic moment before we get to the movie, when the sword maker replaced their swords, and then Inosuke decided to bust his up to make them like his original swords, and the dude freaked out. That was hilarious. I think that was the funniest moment for me.
Oh, I can't wait. So, since we're getting right into the movie after this, I just want to talk about, at the very end of the movie, we know that we're going to have to see the swords maker again for Tanjiro.
I thought about that. I was like, uh-oh. Like when he threw when the guy took off with his sword, I was like, uh-oh, now you got to explain yourself. It's definitely an interesting choice. Like, I mean, how the movie literally starts up right after the end of the series. Which it almost threw me off, because they did have, there is in the movie that quick opening scene that's not exactly at the train, but it has its purpose to it. It kind of bookends the movie in a way. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool the way that it picked right up. And like I said, you definitely have to know the series to get into the movie.
Exactly. And in the introduction to, well, we'll talk about right when they get onto the train. We get to meet one of the Hashiras that we only got to see in like 2 or 3 episodes prior to this, which is Rengoku, everybody's favorite Hashira at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. My favorite too.
And
You talk about such a cool character from the very jump. And I mean, not only is he, let me say this real quick before we get into Rengoku. When they were first getting on the train and Zenitsu started freaking out, I was like, dude, don't start. Like, but they really did rail that in for the movie, and I did appreciate that. He has his freak out early on in the movie, and then it's more chill after that. So definitely appreciated that. But
most
yeah,
of
go
the
ahead.
time he's asleep.
Yeah, exactly. Which, yeah, I was like, I appreciate that, and I did like to see that, we got to see more of his ability, which is funny that, his friends, they don't even really know about it yet. At this point in the series and in the movie, I thought that's pretty cool because remember Tanjiro's like, is that thunder? Like, where'd that come from? He didn't even know what was going on.
Which I think is funny. And if I sidetrack just for like 1 second back, I think one of the cooler animated scenes was when Zenitsu fights the brother spider demon, and that was beautifully animated. With Zenitsu, he looks amazing whenever he's animated.
Yeah. Let's talk about Rengoku. And in fact, you can go ahead and let me know your thoughts on Rengoku.
Dude is just a beast. He is like, I would think he's a man's man. He's dead set on his goals and his missions, and he's funny. The dude's funny without even realizing he's funny. I love this guy.
Just because he's funny in the way that he's an open book. You feel like he speaks his mind. He's a straight shooter. He's a nice guy, and his fighting, of course, is amazing. Like when I saw his speed, I was like, goodness, like, and the way that he's like rescuing people in the midst of a fight is incredible. Like he's just all around an incredible dude. So I really like that character, and the backstory they gave to him as well was amazing. Which I got to go ahead and say, as a conceit for the movie, like overall, the way the movie is structured, it's on a train. So you think about that, like you think like, yeah, this is going to be tough. Like, how are they going to keep this interesting? So to have Enmu, the demon that put them into these dream states, was brilliant. That was such a good idea.
Yes, which also it adds a lot to the comedy for seeing what their wonderful dreams are. So Enmu, he has the power to put people to sleep, and he gives them pleasant dreams. Up until the very end when he's about to kill them, and then he makes them nightmares. That's his whole thing. He's a masochist. He likes causing people's pain. He likes suffering, which is why at the end of the series, he was given extra blood from Muzan after he killed off all the other demon moons. And he's like, all right, cool, I'm going to trust you to go kill Tanjiro, essentially. And you're going to have to survive this.
Yeah, and it's very sadistic too. Like you said, he doesn't want to just cause pain. He wants to basically give you that pleasure first with the pleasant dreams, and that way, when he brings on that pain, it's even worse. And yeah, that is so sadistic.
And just so Inosuke and Zenitsu's dreams are fantastic. I love those.
It's very true to the characters.
Inosuke's dream itself, it's super funny. Where the train itself is a monster he has to fight, and all of his friends, where he's leading them as the pack leader, they're all animal characters as well. It's amazing. And then I think Zenitsu's his dream is dating Nezuko, which is very in line with the character. But when the child goes into the outer wall of their dreams and he gets hunted down by Zenitsu, that was fantastic.
But, yeah, and with the different dreams, you get to see how grounded each character is. Zenitsu and Inosuke, they're not grounded. They're just not. Like they really are not. Tanjiro with his dream, of course, it was like his past. It took him back to that moment, but it was like almost like perfection. You get the impression that it was almost too perfect in a way.
Hmm.
Um, so he's definitely more grounded than his friends, but still, there's some youth there. You could see from him. What amazed me though is what I really appreciated is with Rengoku. You get the impression that nothing was changed. Like this is exactly what his life was like because his father was still cold to him even in his dream, and this is supposed to be like his perfect dream basically. But for
Yes.
him, I think he accepts reality, and that to me was just amazing about his dream.
Yeah. And then being able to see every character's like outer walls, well, specifically Tanjiro's and Rengoku's. I First of all, I think Tanjiro's dream is probably the most like movie like where you get to actually have an experience you because we relate to this character so much. We followed him throughout this whole thing, and then seeing basically the his dream people, I guess you would call them that. They guide the kid to his spiritual core. I think that's what they're called. Where
Oh yeah, that was amazing too. The spiritual chorus, how they were different from each other, and his was just amazing.
I had shudders watching that. That was so amazing to see, and it surprised the kid too. They're like, "Wait, you're leading me right to this? You guys know my intent." This because Tanjiro is the purest character of all of Demon Slayer, and
Yeah,
I absolutely adored that. That was such an amazing. Like, first of all, the movie's animation and the art quality was fantastic, hands down. Except for I think the CG. There's one
yeah.
CG part where I think we can talk about that for a second once we get to Enmu, but it looked so beautiful. Just having it be like the open sky, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I would say, I said earlier I want to come back and talk about the animation some more, and I will say, yeah, there are moments that are just absolutely gorgeous, and yet there are a few moments where the CG and the 2D animation it just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't blend super well.
Correct.
I don't think it like completely took me out of the movie, but yeah, there are some times where it's noticeable and it just doesn't quite blend as well, especially when Enmu basically becomes the whole train. Like you see
Yeah,
him like literally becoming like the whole train. Some of it doesn't blend super well, but it still works overall.
correct. It doesn't. It's not going to take me out of my immersion of the movie, which that is good enough for me. If I'm not completely, utterly distracted by it, it doesn't hurt my experience. So that was good. But their dreams and that visuals and the fight scenes that do happen looked amazing. And having Nezuko help wake up Tanjiro using her blood demon art, and then having her disconnect like the cords that the ropes that hold the children to each of the demon slayers. Having Nezuko be involved is amazing. So I
Yeah.
think let's move past when almost all of them wake up.
Well, I will say, once Tanjiro learned how to wake himself up, and remember, Enmu
Ooh,
almost got him to actually
almost got
cut
him.
his throat. That took me back to the movie Inception. You remember you've seen Inception, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with how dude's wife thought she was still in a dream, and that's why she jumped and killed herself. She thought she was gonna wake up or whatever. But yeah, it took me back to that type of moment, and whew, good thing Inosuke was
Yeah.
there
You know,
at
so
that
it's like,
moment.
don't be a dumbass.
Yeah, and he was I liked how he was presented in the movie as well. You see him learning some things and really learning to be more a part of a team and improve himself and things, and also knowing when he can't step in, like when the main fight at the end was going on and he realized I just can't do anything right now. They're so above my level. I can't do anything. So I like that. It kind of humbled him at that
Yeah.
moment.
And another thing for Inosuke, it's a good thing that he wore the pig mask because that's the reason why Enmu wasn't even able to put him to sleep because
Yeah.
he can't even find this dude's eyes. His eyes are
Yeah.
somewhere inside that mask.
Yeah, and
So
I like how Tanjiro figured that out. That in general, that's something I like about this series is there's some, there's strategy within the fights. It's not just, there's some anime like I struggle to really get into them like and I know there's a lot of Dragon Ball fans out there, but with Dragon Ball is constantly this one-upmanship in terms of who has the most power. I
yeah,
prefer strategy more. Not just about oh, I learned this new technique now, let me use it. And like, no, just I like strategy when characters have to really figure things out and be aware of what's going on around them.
Yeah. So Demon Slayer, this is shonen. It's very basic shonen. It's not like there's a super in-depth involved plot line, but it knows exactly what it's doing, and it knows how to deliver a story correctly. And I incredibly am grateful for the mangaka, the author. She did a fantastic job making the series.
And I've never read any manga, but it's just one of those things. It's not like I have anything against it. It's just there's not enough hours in the day. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff I'm trying to consume and so much stuff I'm trying to do that some things just fall by the wayside, basically. But yeah, I definitely appreciate this manga being brought to anime, of course. And going back to Rengoku, man, like the first, I just got to go and say, do you know the name of the demon at the end of the movie?
It's Akaza.
He came out of nowhere, and like I saw the time, like I knew how much time was left in the movie. I was like, okay, there's something more to this. I did not expect that though. Another demon to show up, and a really cool one at that. He's actually a pretty cool villain.
Oh my god. So once you get to learn about his backstory, which will probably happen in either, depending on how many seasons happen, either 2 or 3. It will probably be like season 3 where we learn more about him. It just depends on how much they cover in this next season, which I think is slated to release in October this year. If I'm not mistaken, season 2 for Demon Slayer releases then. We learn a lot more about him, but he is so intimidating. So Enmu, they defeat him. It's Tanjiro and Inosuke. They are able to sever his spinal cord and decapitate the train itself from the rest of the train. So because somehow he was able to become the train, which was weird, but it's an anime. It's kind of like
it's one of those things. You just got to say go with it.
Yeah, except cool. He becomes part of the train, and the fact that Rengoku, Zenitsu, and Nezuko are able to save off everybody from Enmu while he's trying to kill them from the inside, inside of his body, and Tanjiro and Inosuke are able to kill him, and he's like, "Oh no, is this my fate?" And why? He's like, "I'm suffering now. This sucks," essentially. Because he wanted to see people suffer more. But then all of a sudden, just seeing Akaza come out and like, okay, cool. He was a lower moon. I am upper moon number 3. So there's still 3 people below him. He is the 3rd most powerful demon outside of Muzan. He's like, all right, cool. I'm just going to show up and wreck everybody's stuff right now.
And I like how, I mean, of course we had Tanjiro and his friends like just pretty much fanboying, like going crazy over Rengoku and how cool he is. But I thought it was funny that final demon also was basically a fan of Rengoku, and he saw so much potential in him. And he was like, I mean, he was really trying hard to convince him to become a demon. Like he really wanted him to join them.
He likes fighting. Akaza loves fighting, and Rengoku was able to put up a good fight, even though even Akaza knew. He's like, hey, you're not going to survive this. I'm letting you know right here, right now, you're not going to make it out of this alive. You need to become a demon to fight with me even more.
Yeah, and I was wondering if Rengoku, I started to get the impression that, and of course, by now everybody should realize we're talking deep spoilers here. And of course, I will make sure there's a spoiler warning at the beginning of this. But I was kind of hoping Rengoku might bust out some sort of attack where it's like just a crazy amount of quick slashes that basically just tore the guy apart, tore the demon apart, and maybe that would stop him from regenerating. But yeah, no. I started to get the impression that Rengoku wasn't going to make out of it, and I was upset. Like, I sent you a text, and I won't even repeat what it said, but I was like, how could you introduce such a cool character and then take him away? But that's kind of the point of the movie in a way that I mean, ultimately, I think the point of the movie is to make I think Tanjiro was pretty much there, but especially to make his friends realize, like, you got to take this serious. Y'all need to train because you're not ready yet. You're just not there.
So in the fight where we keep alluding to, Inosuke learns, hey, there's just some things I can't do. He verbally says, if I step into this fight, not only will I die immediately, I will just be hindering Rengoku.
Yeah.
It won't even take me a second, and one of them will end up killing me. He can't even move. Tanjiro can't move because he's so destroyed from his fight with Enmu that he's bleeding and he needs to breathe to keep his blood vessels opened up so that way he doesn't bleed out. Zenitsu's asleep on the train. Nezuko is also, I think, protecting or helping out people, or she's probably hiding in her box. I forget. And just seeing the fight between Akaza and Rengoku, and we see a beautiful display of showmanship with Rengoku and his fire breathing technique. He's a beast, but even then, Akaza can attack you can't get too close to him, and he can attack you from super far away anyway because he's just that strong.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising to see a demon get away at the end, but like I said, it definitely made that point that these guys they got more training to do. They really are not there yet, and it kind of it gears you up for more of the series, of course, which I'm sure is their intention with it. And I will say though, one thing I didn't like about the ending, I did feel like the ending was a bit drawn out. I felt like they could have cut just a little bit of it because there were like multiple times where they came back to basically Rengoku dying and Tanjiro crying. I felt like they could have cut just a little bit of that.
Yeah, I'm really I think just because of how it ended, where Rengoku's like, all right, cool. If I can't really cut your head off and I can't kill you because I'm just not strong enough, I'm going to force your hand to stay inside of my body. And he's like, I'm going to wait until daylight and then you're going to die. And just him knowing that, yeah, by the way, I completed my mission and I kept everybody on this train safe, despite your guys' goal to make sure everybody dies here. It makes Rengoku such a badass. He's so cool.
And by the way, big suspension of disbelief that everybody survived that train wreck. I know this is anime and it's a lot of silliness and very exaggerated, but come on, that's big suspension of disbelief there.
Correct. But maybe somebody got injured, but they didn't die. Maybe there's everybody's injured, but nobody fatal. And I mean, Tanjiro,
a lot of cuts and bruises,
maybe a limb lost or two, but nobody's exactly dead yet. But I see a joke going around that when Rengoku comes back to life because he realizes if he's dead, that means that somebody on the train died, so he can't do that to complete his mission. Which I think is a little funny, but Rengoku's death was when I think we get to see Inosuke at one of his greatest.
It was interesting too that they went ahead and had the reactions to the other Hashira in the movie as well. It's very interesting to see how they reacted differently. There was some anger, there was some immediate mourning, there was some almost like numbness or I don't know if it was disbelief or what.
It was disbelief.
I like those different reactions because it felt real. When somebody actually dies in real life, you do get a mix of reactions. So that was pretty interesting to me. And like I said, there's the bookend scene with the leader of the Hashira too, which I kind of appreciated. Yeah,
it's such a good scene seeing the reaction from all the Hashiras because Rengoku, I think he's the second strongest out of all of them, and he still lost that fight. So it lets them know, oh crap, Upper Moon Demon 3. So there's still people, Muzan, because everybody's big fear is Muzan. Muzan's the strongest out of all of them. He's the Demon King. And three people weaker than him defeated our second strongest fighter. Yeah,
so I guess the movie as well, it doesn't just show Tanjiro and his friends that they got more training to do. It's like a heads up to the Hashira as well
exactly.
That stay on your toes because you might feel like top tier hunters, but even you got some more training you need to do basically.
Because everybody's mortal except for these demons.
Yeah. So I'm definitely it definitely got me hyped to see where the series go, and I'm definitely going to stick with it. And before we wrap things up, do you have any thoughts you want to share just regarding the figures, the pops that have been revealed?
So I am really happy with the pop selection. I think for a first wave, they did a very good job at selecting the characters. I do think maybe the Hot Topic exclusive Tanjiro could have been saved for like a common release in the future because, as we know, with Funko and anime or any most of their properties, when they do a second wave, they usually have to include the main characters again just to get people to buy it. It happens with
Mm.
He-Man, happens with My Hero. We have 85 Deku's, 85 Batman, 85 He-Mans and Skeletors. So I think if they had say like different costume variants for Tanjiro in the future, that would have been cool. But I think their selection was fantastic, and I'm really happy for I think probably most the box lunch exclusive Tanjiro. I think that one looks amazing. I can't wait to see the Rui versus Tanjiro
I
um,
guess moment. Yeah.
moment. I think it would have been called. I
Hmm.
want to see that in like when it's actually done because right now it's just concept art. Same thing with Gyu, it's just concept art. So seeing that from different angles would look really cool, and I think they picked. Like I said, I think if I'm not mistaken, that's when episode 19, when the hype for Demon Slayer just skyrocketed because of that fight, and I think they picked a fantastic moment to represent an anime. But I'm really excited for like a wave two where we can get a Shinobu variant or a Shinobu Funko Pop, and maybe we can get a couple other of the demons because I do want to see some solo demons. But overall, I think their pop selection is fantastic.
Yeah, and Shinobu, I always say it's not all about Funko with me, and I know it's the same way for you as a collector. So, earlier within this, when we talked about Shinobu, I will make sure I have some images for some gorgeous figures and statues of that particular character that you shared with me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll make sure I have some of those images within this. And I know some people agree with you. I think you talked about Inosuke, the Chalice Collectibles exclusive, how
Yeah,
maybe the head should have been switched for the chase there basically.
yeah, and overall, I'm not too upset about it. It's if you get the chase, it's the only way that you're going to get Inosuke without the mask on. But I understand, hey, if you want an Inosuke pop figure and you want to get one that's flocked, you're going to want the one with the boar head that the head is completely flocked. Where
Yeah.
I think that's going to end up looking cooler. I think the common will end up looking cooler, but if you get the chase variant, that's going to be the only way you're even going to be able to get that head sculpt at all.
And
So
I'll say this too: when that figure drops, once it actually ships out, and people get the chase, don't look at it on eBay or Mercari because your eyes might start bleeding. I know people are going to try to sell that chase for ridiculous prices. So
oh god, both him and
yeah.
I don't think the Tanjiro Glow in the Dark one's going to sell for as much just because as of right now, the Galactic Toys exclusive Tanjiro with the chase, you can still get the bundle. So it's still probably even cheaper to get the
Yeah,
bundle.
and they tend to restock, maybe not always immediately, but they tend to do restocks eventually, and they tend to put things on sale as well. So
Exactly.
yeah, I don't think their chases in the long run are gonna hold as much value, basically.
Correct. And Inosuke, it's harder with Chalice collectibles because if I'm not mistaken, they do restock, but I don't shop with them enough to know that. Uh, I think they restock normally. I think they restocked like the Pain from Naruto, the Almighty Push one. He was sold out for a moment, but I think once they actually physically get the stock, they will probably restock it. But it might go really quickly because I think he's probably more popular than the Galactic Toys Tanjiro.
Yeah, and as for me, like I'm very selective. I mainly collect Marvel and DC, and then some random stuff here and there. And I have almost no anime in my collection right now. I mean, very very little. But I think the Tanjiro exclusive. Which one is it? Is it the box lunch
Box lunch.
exclusive? The one where he's using that form. Yeah, I think I will go for that one because I think that's just amazing. Like it looks really
Yeah.
awesome. I've seen some out of box images of it already, so yeah, I think I want to go for that one because, like I said, I really like Tanjiro as a hero. And then, some of the other ones, if I see him up close, I might consider picking them up. But I'm not going all in on it,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite. I actually think I have two of everything on order, one for inbox, one for out of box, because I do want to keep a lot of these out of box just to look at them to have them in the collection. Because my goal is to have a bookshelf with completely filled with Demon Slayer stuff. That would be cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
But my goal is to eventually have like at least 2 of everything. So who knows? It might only just be 1 just because of those chase variants. But I even like that they have a keychain of Nezuko and it's tiny
Yeah,
Nezuko.
that's a good idea. That is actually a good idea. I usually don't even pay much attention to pocket pops, but I was like, there's one that really makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why this just came to me randomly, and I'm sorry I didn't bring this up earlier. Uh, with Tanjiro's dream, I think one of the most brilliant moments was when he put the wood on his back. He was collecting all the wood together, and then he was like, "Come on, Nezuko," and he's like, "Huh? Why did I say that?" That was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant little moment there. Like, yeah, I'm getting hyped now. I actually want to watch the movie again already, and I think I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, they did so good. That movie, and that's what I was waiting for you to see the most, because I'm like, I know the series for a lot of people, it didn't pick up until episode 19 where they're fighting the spider demon, but it was strong enough for people to stick through with it. But I'm like, when people actually get to physically see that movie after watching the series, I think a lot of people are just going to be so invested in this. And the numbers for this movie, the numbers that it's done, I think is the second most that any anime movie has ever done here in the United States.
Dude, it passed over 500 million. That's crazy, and it's the biggest movie in Japan's history. Like that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And that's even like, we're still just coming out of the pandemic, and shows are very limited. Like I didn't get to see it in theater just because I think only one theater was playing it, and it was like over an hour away, and they only had like a 10 o'clock or like 10:30 show or something like that. Yeah, and I wasn't even caught up on the series yet to even like go out of my way for that. But yeah, even with that limited release here in the States, like yeah, this movie has done big numbers.
Huge numbers.
I guarantee other anime are about to do the same. That watch them try it. I mean, there's already been some anime movies, of course, that have been in theaters, but watch some other anime try to do specifically what Demon Slayer did, which is to have that movie that connects seasons, basically.
So, Dragon Ball should be doing something similar, but it's not the first time. So beforehand, they released Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is a kind of like a sequel to Dragon Ball Super, the show, and it leads right into the next arc of the manga. So I think in the manga, they just finished another arc called the Moro arc, and they're working on another. But they did announce that in 2021 or 2022, I think it might be next year, they are doing another Dragon Ball Super movie. So I'm expecting that to do huge numbers as well. But I don't think personally it's going to reach the hype of Demon Slayer. But I could be proven wrong.
But yeah, I think because of the success though, you know how Hollywood can be, and just movies in general, like there's going to be some I think we'll see a little bit of copycatting, and maybe when they don't make quite as much money it'll die down, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of copycatting coming up soon.
And even if they do copycat, it's not the end of the world.
And yeah, I'm not saying that as a I'm not saying that as a negative. I do want to be clear about that. I'm not saying that as a negative, because if something is successful, yeah, you should give it a try. Basically, when there's millions of dollars on the line and things like that, you see something that's successful, yeah, give it a try. But like we were saying, I just may not be as successful for some other series.
Yeah, but like you said previously, if people shouldn't be gatekeeping, because the more money and the more people who are interested and invested into stuff like this, people who are invested in anime, which is why for Funko Pops, I make sure when there's an anime series that I like, I get the Pops, because it says to companies, hey, keep doing the stuff that I like, so that way I can keep getting more entertainment from this franchise or from this style of art or entertainment that I enjoy.
Yeah, if anything, instead of gatekeeping, spread the word. If you really care about your fandom, spread the word. Don't try to keep people out of it. And also, I have to say this because I saw it in the comments, and I stayed out of it. I let people do their back and forth talk and whatever. But, I decided to wait and download the movie, get the movie for streaming, basically, legally, to pay money, for the creators, to support what is pretty awesome content. And I really wish more people had that attitude, basically, instead of where can I watch it for free? that's not supporting what you are a fan of, you know. So
Correct.
that just putting that out there real quick. Yeah, if you really enjoy Demon Slayer and whatever you enjoy, you know, legitimately support it.
Correct. Like, I watched Demon Slayer in theaters premiere night. That's what I did. I pre-ordered my tickets. I have the box set for the manga series because, like I said, the last English chapter is coming out. So I pre-ordered the box set. So I will have all the manga from 1 to, I think it's 23, coming in October when it releases. So support their franchises. And I mean, not just like with Funko Pops or like statues or figure collecting, but even like the base media where you pay to watch the show, pay to maybe buy the movie, buy like the physical copy of the movie, or like a box set of the TV series or the anime series if you want to.
Yeah, and do you know? I know a lot of pop collectors are checking this out. Definitely do buy the pops though, because
Do
you
buy
know,
the
of
pops.
course, we want to see more. I know we want to see more. Like I'm like a lot of you. I'm sure some people like we need a Rengoku pop. I'm right there with you, but Funko has started things for us. Let's purchase some of what's already available, and then of course you're voting with your wallet then basically. So
Exactly.
yeah, of course there is going to be more. I think this is going to be a big series for Funko moving forward.
Yeah, I'm 100% certain, unless something huge comes out by the end of this year, I'm pretty sure Demon Slayer probably could be their most popular franchise for 2021.
Yeah, yeah, and the series yeah as a whole is gonna do well. I think it's really gonna do well, and I know a lot of people already got a lot of pre-orders in. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the hype is real. I've even seen like news outlets talking
Talking
about
about
the pops. Yeah, like so this is big. It is a big deal. Um,
exactly.
is there anything else that you wanted to add it for the people here?
Nothing really. I think we discussed basically everything.
All right, and we definitely appreciate you all that you know that stuck with us all the way through here. We definitely appreciate that, and look forward to your feedback as well. You know, definitely share your thoughts about the franchise, the series, the movie, the pops, and where you want, you know, what you want to see next, basically in terms of the figures and what you hope to see in terms of the storytelling. You know, share all your thoughts with us. We definitely look forward to checking those out. And I'll remind you again, please make sure that you check out Robert's channel. Like I said, I am going to link a video below in the description. But yeah, one more time, we definitely appreciate you all taking the time to check this out and to hang with us and to listen and, you know, listen to our nerdy rambling here. But yeah, it's very much appreciated. And yeah, you all take care. And of course, we will talk to you all again real soon.